Nothing stirs the emotions like relationships. One of life's most challenging concerns is the development and maintenance of relationships. Today is the day that we examine some do's and don'ts. Hey there, my friends. I may call you my friends, right? That is our relationship, isn't it? Welcome back to Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. You're invited to listen in while I vocalize my thoughts to my son. Here's a word or two on relationships, Eli. You know, we're not so different. We both are struggling with relationships. We think that relationships define us, but they don't. We think that relationships don't define us, but they do. I don't want to complicate things by showing you how simple life is, but I must. Why? Because I love you, I'm your dad, I want the best for you, and I desperately want you to love me. May we start with joy and pain? It's certainly true that we travel in different circles. When you hop into my car, you playfully call out, "Music!" You do this because you don't want to listen to my oldie station or my sports talk radio station. And you know that I don't want to listen to your bubblegum or rap music. To me, rap music is an oxymoron like jumbo shrimp. I want to spend time with you, so I agree to your music. Of course, I needle you about its content. I've got news for you, bro. By the way, Eli, don't ever call me that. My dad let me listen to my music sometimes too. Music, however, was not our real relationship connector. Our connector was baseball. I loved to play the game. My dad loved to coach me and watch me at games and even at practices too. We had something in common. We bonded. Hey, can I tell you something funny? That strategy works for the entire city of Boston, the whole Boston area, in fact, all of New England practically. One of the most unifying elements of being from Boston is the Red Sox. Now, as you know, I've lived all over the country. Boston, of course, Southern California, the Bay Area, Florida. I was in love once. I even lived in New York, makes you do strange things, and Chicago. Now, these locales all have sports fans, but it ain't the same. Not even close. The Red Sox are a religion in New England, or so it seems. This is true whether the team is playing well or they are, as your grandfather often called them, El Stinkovich. Now, this is why, as a parent, it is our duty to teach our children not to hate, except the Yankees. Lesson number 2 is that being a fanatic of the same things is a bonding experience, and hating the same things is also a bonding experience. Now, it's good fun to be a Yankee hater and trash talker when you keep your hatred in perspective. Unfortunately, other bonding forms of hatred can be catastrophic. Why do people act that way? Suicide bombings, acts of terror, school shootings, going postal. It is because it's an effort to bond or the reaction to the inability to bond. It's that simple. One of my closest friends has season's tickets for the Sox. Sorry, Chicago, the Sox means the Red Sox. I asked him recently during the past playoffs if he was enjoying the games. And he told me that he hadn't even gone to a game yet. When I asked him why, he said that he let his kids and his grandchildren use the tickets just as his dad had done for him. When you can find something that you have in common with someone, something that bonds you together, you hold on for dear life. Relationships, Eli. Now, times have changed, or so I'm told, but principles, fundamentals, and feelings remain the same, timeless. You want some proof? Can do. Eli, when I was in the 7th grade, an inexperienced puppy, I had my first crush. Her name was Melody. Beautiful music was she. I say crush because after the school dance, she dumped me in favor of one of my friends, and I was crushed. I had that awful feeling in the pit of my stomach. I couldn't eat. I know you don't believe it, but that's true. And I couldn't sleep. What I could do was mope. It took me a long time to recover, and I finally did after my second divorce. Eli, you might think that going through an experience like that gives you experience, but it doesn't. I'm sorry to report to you that you're going to have the same experience. You're going to question yourself by asking, what could I have done differently to avoid the breakup? Alas, you won't discover until you recover that a breakup is a two-way street and that only one person being at fault is rare. I can tell you this because, in addition to Melody, there were also Elise, my truest love, Diane, she of the 5-minute marriage, and Pam, a beautiful person. Just to name a few of the headliners, and of course, let's not forget your mom. Now that feeling in the pit of your stomach is always there, and the questions are too. So if that's the case, why do you continue to seek that special relationship? Because, my boy, to every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. The opposite of awful is wonderful, loving, fulfilling, sharing, and rewarding. Technology is advanced, but when you look into the eyes of that special person and receive a loving smile, you will melt like butter. Trust me, you'll know the difference between butter and margarine. That special feeling cannot be Googled. You know what's strange? When a child is young, having mommy's or daddy's attention is paramount. Then it isn't. We, the parents, pine for those days, but they go by so quickly. I tolerate your music because of the importance of our relationship. You tolerate my lectures for the same reason. They're delivered to you from love. Now, sometimes, as was the case when your grandfather mentored me, they don't sink in for a long time. Sometimes it takes years. But that's the way of the world. Now, when you pursue other relationships, friendship and business, it is wise to form a bond with interests that you have in common. It's wise to forgive the small stuff and remember that a bear will not act like a cat. It will act like a bear. If you're a punctual person and you have a relationship with someone important to you that is not so punctual, you're going to have to grin and bear it to maintain that relationship. But remember, everything does have its limits. For example, minimize relationships with Norman Negative and Debbie Downer. Make good qualitative choices for your relationships. Let me give you one final rule of thumb for relationships. Watch your mouth. How? When you feel that you have been, quote unquote, wronged by someone in your orbit, it is wise to not make a knee-jerk derogatory comment immediately. It is better to reflect and evaluate your situation. Typically, 24 hours or overnight is a minimum time frame to reflect. It's important, especially in business, to not burn your bridges. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't approach a particular bridge with caution. What it does mean is that there may be future road construction that dictates that you may want to traverse that very bridge for mutual advantage. And if that bridge has been destroyed, you've eliminated an option. Remember, always, that when you open your mouth, there are 3 possible outcomes. Something good, something bad, or things will remain the same. If you reflexively open your mouth when angry, the odds against a positive outcome are 2 to 1. Allow logic, Eli, to dictate response and not emotion. You can always put that relationship on a back burner if you want to, but do remember to keep the pilot light operational because you may need it someday. Keep track of your relationships. Acknowledge birthdays, accomplishments. Express empathy and sympathy, and call a friend when something happens that reminds you of them. Don't just text or email. Be personal. LOL isn't the same as a shared, hearty laugh. Sell impersonal tactics. Buy bonds. As always, love, Dad. Now, next time we get together, our topic will be a good ship's captain knows the 7 C's. Don't worry, you're not going to get seasick unless you miss that lesson, so make sure that you are subscribed and rung the bell for notification. Tell your friends, too. It may provide the life jacket to keep their businesses and personal agendas afloat. And remember to review the description box. The contents therein are beyond description. Our thought for the day: it is better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. And because we never end our meetings on a philosophical note, get out there and charge. I'm Eli's dad.